Welcome back to On the Rise with the latest Canadian men's national team news, and there has been a rumor in the past couple of weeks around a Canadian men's national team dual national in Lucas Diaz, as he is attracting interest from the likes of Aberdeen in the Scottish Premier League. And this is huge news, as this would be a massive transfer for the young Canadian dual national star, as he is currently playing for Sporting Lisbon's B side. Lucas Diaz is a 20-year-old attacking midfielder, and this would be a massive step up to join the SPFL, where there's a lot of Canadians currently playing for some top clubs, as well as killing it as younger rising stars. And Lucas Diaz is currently really in that bubble. He is truly on the rise as a young 20-year-old number 10 attacking midfielder. And coming from one of the best academies in world football in Sporting, this is a very exciting player for the CanMNT, as it was reported a couple of weeks ago that Aberdeen are considering Sporting Lisbon's B star in Lucas Diaz. Aberdeen thought to be monitoring the attacking midfielder who is available for loan on a provisional loan for 6 months. That is very exciting in my opinion. When I've talked about this before multiple times, looking at the CanMNT roster, we truly don't have a number 10, a out-and-out number 10. I've loved the thinking of Marco Bustos coming in and taking up that number 10 role in playing in a 4-3-3 or in some shape of a 4-2-3-1. And with Lucas Diaz, after losing Stefan Mitrovic, who is a true number 10, Lucas Diaz for me is one of those only real players left in that player pool who is an automatic number 10. Of course, Lucas Diaz can still play on the left wing, on the right wing, but he's more predominantly a number 10, a creative midfielder who can play those balls through the lines to the likes of Tejan, Davies, Theo Corbeanu, Liam Millar, the likes of JD, Kyle Larin, Ike Ugbo, so many attacking stars and starlets. Lucas Diaz would be a huge compliment to them. And coming out of one of the best academies in world football in Sporting, it speaks of volumes of how good Lucas Diaz truly is. You look at the fact that he's come through one of those brilliant academies, he's attracting interest from, of course, not a top league, but the SPFL is still a very exciting league. And the fact that he is still a dual national, a Canada and Portugal dual national, him going to Portugal, or him going to Scotland, pardon my bad, would be a huge move for the CanMNT. I'm not saying it would sway him one way or the other, but you look at the SPFL, look what Canada has there right now and what we have had there. Previously Scott Arfield, previously the likes of Witherspoon, and also look at now. Alistair Johnston killing it for Celtic, the biggest club in Scotland, one of the biggest clubs in world football. And then you have the likes of Theo Bair, who's truly on the rise, doing some brilliant work. Harry Payton, Victor Latourie. This is a huge league that has attracted a lot of Canadians, and if Alistair Johnston can maybe get in his ear, I would love that, or some of these other Canadians, because that would be a huge opportunity to land a huge player for the CanMNT. Because Lucas Diaz is a very exciting player. I loved what I saw from him when he was with the Canadian U23 system. Like I said, guys, he is a dual national. He hasn't committed to Canada or to Portugal. And you look at what he has done in his youth career so far, he has played mostly for the CanMNT and the Canadian youth systems. As a U23 Canadian, playing 4 matches and having 4 appearances, in making his debut on March 19th, 2021. Of course, U20s also being with the Canadian camp as well, but for Portugal's U16 camp, he did have 1 appearance for them as well. I'm not saying that youth camps can sway you one way or the other, but it is a good way of looking at who he might join. And for me, you might look at it and say, it's Portugal. It's going to be very hard side to crack. It's going to be one of the biggest national teams in world football. Some brilliant number 10, some unbelievable wingers. How would Lucas Diaz possibly crack that Portuguese side? For me, I'm not saying he's there yet to crack that Portuguese side. But when you're that good to crack it and come out of the Sporting Academy, you know you're a top prospect, and you know you're a top player, especially when it's talking about how he's a star player, he's one of their most exciting talents, and for me, he really is. And I'm not saying that's going to sway him straight into the Portuguese side, or every unbelievable talent that's come out of the youth academy from Sporting has gone on to do brilliant things. No, I'm not saying that at all, but it is a huge thing that he has come through the Sporting Academy and the Sporting Youth Academy, and has proven himself. And a lot of players who come from those academies do unbelievable things. And if Lucas Diaz can go on to do that and show his true talent, maybe, just maybe, he might eventually fulfill his true ceiling and might just push in the Portuguese national side. But for me, he should more so sway to Canada, as that is a huge stepping stone. There's a clear role for him in this squad, whether it's out wide in the wing in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, or playing and holding that number 10 role behind the likes of Larin or David, creating those nice through balls. It is perfectly set up for Lucas Diaz, especially if we get another manager who wants to set up in a 4-3-3, especially an attacking setup. We need that attacking midfielder, that number 9, that number 10, who can break the lines against a Panama, a Costa Rica, a Japan, a Algeria, Morocco, a player who can play through those lines, because we currently don't have that. And if Canada can get a dual national like this, who is able to do that already at such a young age, at 20 years old, it would be massive. Because for me, Canada needs to be playing a 4-3-3. We need to be playing a 4-2-3-1. I've said this multiple times, and I will continue to say this. That is why the John Herdman thing, I'm currently on the fence. I'm more so a 60-40, 65-35 kind of situation. I'm neither upset or disappointed. It could go either way for me. I think it would just really depend on who we get as our manager and what their formation, system, and philosophy truly is. But for me, if Lucas Diaz can get that move to Aberdeen, it would be a huge move and a very exciting one at that. But we also had a Canadian in action today, guys, as Derek Cornelius, my favorite and the best center back on the CanMNT player pool and depth chart, took to action in the Sweden Cup, playing for Malmo FF, getting the start in a back three. Of course, no stats, no ratings coming from a cup match in Sweden, as Malmo still did come away with a 2-0 victory from goals in the 65th minute from Reeks and Ali in the 90+2, beating Smeldeby AIS. I might have butchered that name, guys, but Malmo are off and doing brilliant things this season, and I absolutely love what this side is doing, and especially winning in the cup in the second round. This is a huge for Derek Cornelius to keep pushing, playing for a great side and a top side, especially a side that always has a lot of scouts, keeping a close eye to those smaller divisions and especially Nordic leagues. And Derek Cornelius, for me, is only going to push on. I knew this move was going to be brilliant for him. Going to a side like Malmo, a lot of people questioned him leaving Vancouver, especially when they left him off of that list and didn't retain him. And it's only worked out for Derek Cornelius massively. And it will help out Vancouver Whitecaps. You just look how smart of business they're doing now, with bringing in Richie Lareg, bringing in Sam Atakubi, how great they're doing pushing on for the playoffs. Everyone's prospered from this move. Derek Cornelius has had a huge move to help his career out, and I think he's only going to soar from here. I think he's a top 5 league center back, and I think we'll see it very soon. And I think he's got to be knocking on the door of one of those leagues very quickly. But there's 3 more things in the agenda, as we are going to set to see Alistair Johnston return to the SPFL with Celtic. Of course, the biggest side in Scottish football, and Alistair Johnston is ready to return. AJ is back. He's been training at the end of last week. We saw it in pictures. And the star for the CanMNT and the Celtic star might be ready to feature against St Johnstone this weekend. Everyone should be excited to see Alistair Johnston. You just know what he's going to bring to the pitch. That determination, that hunger, that tenacity, that winning thrive and demand. What he always brings to the pitch is so exciting. I love seeing Alistair Johnston on the pitch week in and week out. And it's huge to see the effect of Tajon Buchanan at right back for Club Brugge and what he's done consistently going forward and attacking and dribbling and showing his ability at a new position now. It gives a huge new look to Canada as we play 4-3-3, even have Ali as a right-sided center back and have Tajon to the right, or you could rotate him. Alistair Johnston can be set up for a more defensive style match and always going more attacking with his beautiful crossing ability, and also having a Tajon Buchanan. When you're set up against a deeper block, bringing Tajon Buchanan to play in those nice intricate passes and those quick dribbles. It would be a huge, nice dynamic shift to have these brilliant attacking and defensive right backs in Tajon Buchanan and Alistair Johnston. It's just a great look to the CanMNT squad, and especially the depth chart. And if Ali can get out running, having some great form, I'm sure seeing Tajon Buchanan at right back, they're probably having some great banter talking about who's going to be the better right back now. And seeing Tajon at right back, it's going to be a huge challenge for Alistair Johnston to go out there and now prove himself again after an injury and show why he is one of the best right backs in CONCACAF and even in the CanMNT player pool. For me, we know what Ali can do, we know what he can deliver, and I'm so excited to see him back on the pitch. One of our best players in the depth pool, and maybe even as a defender outside Alphonso Davies, and he now will be challenging Tajon Buchanan for a right back role in the CanMNT, and that is something I never thought I would have said. But guys, moving on, there's even more news. As it is now being reported, Josh Deming of One Soccer has reported this today, saying, quote, "It's being reported by Foot Mercado that there are a few Premier League clubs who could attempt to sign Jonathan David in the next few days." And he goes on to say, "My personal opinion about who those clubs could be are Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, and West Ham." For me, I can easily squash out two of those in the likes of Man United and probably West Ham. I think it's a very interesting take from Josh Deming, but Man United are in no position to look for another striker right now. They're out of money, they're struggling, they don't have the depth, they don't have the funds to bring in another number 9. Just spending £75 million on the likes of Rasmus Højlund, there's just no option for them to go out and spend on Jonathan David, so that option is truly squashed. As much as I'd love to see us sign Jonathan David, I don't want him to play a backup role to Rasmus Højlund. It would make no sense. As for West Ham, it's a very interesting destination, of course, with Scamacca out the door. It would be very interesting to see him up top, playing alongside Michail Antonio or instead of Michail Antonio, but the one thing is, would he really fit David Moyes' system? I'm not sure if he does. Jonathan David loves to create chances, get on the ball, and progress the ball forward. With David Moyes' system, I don't think he fits that. He's not going to be able to hold up the ball to the Michail Antonio system as we've seen, as he did against Chelsea, to a very high level. Jonathan David can still play hold-up ball in nice 1-2s. But to the way David Moyes wants to play his football, we saw Gianluca Scamacca come in, and that of course wasn't a David Moyes signing. He came in, didn't hit the ground running, was never used to his full ability, and then was shipped out the door back to Italy. And I don't want to see that to Jonathan David with David Moyes. If doesn't fit David Moyes' system, he's not going to use him, and that would make complete sense. And I understand why David Moyes wouldn't want to use a number 9 that he doesn't want or doesn't want to back. That makes complete sense. So I could see him fitting in at West Ham, but the system fit tactical wise, and if he falls out of favor, it's just not going to work out for me with Jonathan David at West Ham. The other two options being Chelsea and Tottenham sticking in London. Chelsea's a very interesting destination, a club struggling for goals, playing nice, intricate, tight football in the attacking final third, and some beautiful stuff, but lack that true goal threat. But Nicholas Jackson has looked truly phenomenal when given the chance. You saw it against Liverpool, creating chances, making brilliant runs, bullying Virgil van Dijk. And spending that kind of money they did on Nicholas Jackson, I know it wasn't outrageous, and Chelsea are free to spend as much money as they truly want, it seems. I just don't know how he would fit, or if he'd start ahead of Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson is a stronger, more built number 9 who can hold up the ball even better than I think Jonathan David can. And especially in the air, Nicholas Jackson is just a bigger threat all around than Jonathan David truly is. And he has already fit in with squad. He's already had preseason. He's already ready. He's already fit into Poch's style. And I know Chelsea are willing to spend money. They're willing to go out there and splash the cash, as we have seen, spending already close to $1 billion in the last 3 transfer windows under Todd Boehly. But would they really want to go out right now and spend so much money after they just splashed $113 million and some more on Romeo Lavia after that? I really don't think they're in the market for another number 9, unfortunately. But the last option is Tottenham Hotspur, and that is of course the clear front runner. There's no arguments, if, buts, or maybes about that. They don't have a number 9 right now. Yes, you're going to tell me Richarlison is over there. I don't care about Richarlison. This man scored 1 Premier League goal last season. I don't care. He's done more of his crazy, stupid bird celebrations than he scored goals. It is absolutely ridiculous. They don't have a number 9, a side that absolutely put my side to bed in Manchester United last week, and they look unbelievable going forward. This Ange Postecoglou style of football is so exciting, so creative, so much depth in the final third, and the way that Heung-min Son, James Maddison, and Dejan Kulusevski are creating chances up front is huge for any number 9. And you could see it in their first match against Brentford. This side couldn't put away their dinner. They couldn't do anything in front of goal. They couldn't finish anything. They couldn't finish their dinner. And it was outrageous. Richarlison looked extremely poor, and you just thought if Harry Kane was there, this game would have been 5-2. It would have been 5-1. And if Jonathan David's there, he's bagging so many more goals. So it's going to be extremely exciting to see if Jonathan David gets that big money move to Tottenham Hotspur that we know as CanMNT fans he really deserves. Because that is the only club right now that is outstanding for me in the Premier League that he's going to join. He's not leaving Lost Lille to join anyone else. It's got to be a Premier League side. We know this. He's made it clear in the media. And Premier League is the only way for JD. Looking at the league, guys, I'll run it through really quickly. Ain't no way Liverpool signs him. He's not going to City. He's not going to United. Maybe Chelsea. Tottenham, definitely. West Ham, maybe. Brighton, no. With the likes of Mitoma, of course, he's a winger, but you still have Evan Ferguson, Joao Pedro, Danny Welbeck, so many options. He's not going to Newcastle United with Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson. He's not going to go to the likes of Brentford. I know there's a potential with Ivan Toney there, not there right now, of course, and maybe him moving in January, but they're just not a side that is going to willingly spend that kind of money. So it's a very interesting landscape for him right now in the Premier League because he's not going to go to a lower below mid-table side, to a Crystal Palace, to a Wolves. He's just not going to go there. You know it's going to be a top half side and a very good side. I know West Ham arguably aren't a top half side, but they're a side that just won a European Cup. They have money. And we do know the potential that West Ham side can have. The likes of Jared Bowen, Thomas Souček, a very solid back line with a great goalkeeper in Alphonse Areola. It's a very exciting side. Lucas Paqueta, Pablo Fornals. It's a very exciting creative side with the potential to be top half. So that is why they are so heavily linked and a possibility for Jonathan David. But for me, it has to be Tottenham Hotspur. But there's also one thing of topic I have to talk about before wrapping up this video. And I'm going to shout out CanMNT Bible, who I've been texting quite a bit on X now, not Twitter. And he had a huge tweet just today saying, WTF, has Patrick Metcalfe been cooking? And this is truly outstanding. I truly didn't know much about Patrick Metcalfe until the past couple of days. I honestly will admit that. Looking at what he's done, he has come from the Vancouver Whitecaps Academy and come all the way to Fredrikstad, which is, of course, in the Norwegian 2nd Division. We have a Norwegian playing in the 1st Division in Jaden Nelson, but we now have the likes of Patrick Metcalfe in the 2nd Division. If you don't know much about Metcalfe, he's a 24-year-old center mid who can also play right mid, center back, and left back. He seems extremely versatile. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't know a whole lot about Patrick Metcalfe. I never have really seen him play, but I'm definitely have to tune in now, as he has just put up in his last 2 games 3 assists in a match against Kristiansund, and he went 87 minutes. And just the next game after that, today, putting up a goal and an assist, going 90 minutes. So in the past 2 matches, he has had the likes of 5 goal contributions. That is outstanding for a 24-year-old midfielder. For a 24-year-old midfielder playing in the Norwegian 2nd Division for Fredrikstad, who are currently in 1st place in the league with a possibility of going straight up in automatic promotion with a 1 win over 2nd place. And they are looking phenomenal and possibly could be going up. And the side who is in 2nd just lost to Patrick Metcalfe's Fredrikstad, where he put away a goal and a assist. Guys, it's been a huge day. Whether it's Lucas Diaz's transfer rumors I brought back up, Jonathan David's rumors from Josh Deming, Alistair Johnston's return, Derek Cornelius' cup match today, and of course, Patrick Metcalfe, who is taking to the scene. Let me know what you guys think on all of the news from today. Drop a comment down below, hit that like button, drop a sub, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.